Coming up on Daniel Hurt Presents is singer-songwriter from Southern Illinois, Katt Holiday. Welcome to Daniel Hurt Presents. This is the beginning of the 5th season of this show, and I'm very proud of the work we've done, and thanks to all of you for watching and everybody who's been part of this program. It's been a pleasure. We hope you keep watching. My first guest this season is Katt Holiday. They are a resident of Makanda, Illinois, been playing guitar for a long time, singing, songwriting, several releases out. I once saw them at our mutual friend Melanie's house party, and I was blown away. And before we get to talking to Katt, let's go ahead and hear from them. So take a listen to some Katt Holiday.
Whiskey and coffee and Camel Filter 99s. Woke up this morning, same headache that I've had my whole damn life. Well, I've been stranded on the street for 20 some odd years. As soon as the rain stopped, started drowning in my tears. Well, they say this city's golden, but it's just another town. So I'm gonna paint it black and blue, and then I'm gonna burn this fucker down. Well, everybody knows that I'm the king around this town. They're always making fun of my thrift store clothes and my broken crown. I was lost out on the low road, staring at the highway sky. Well, it's that same unbroken circle. By and by, Lord, by and by. Well, I've been seeing street kids sell salvation for a song, stranded on the cornerstone all night long. So I dreamed myself a brand new drug, and the old man came back home, searching for the life that he left lying round here somewhere long ago. Once upon a time I couldn't see past my front door, but now I ain't so sure I've even got a mind to lose anymore. So it's whiskey and coffee and Camel Filter 99. I am but a modern man, hiding what I am, Promethean. Someday when the seas roll in, I will be at peace in oblivion. Ancient, sacred, naked, and alone. Spores on cathedral spires, riot in the excess of desire. Everything tastes like fire, exultant in the pain of my funeral pyre. Righteous, joyous, blessed, and unknown. Tattered seams of the evening dress, shattered dreams of the alchemist. Sweet chimera share the sky, the worms inherit wonders of the eye. Find no glory on the lips of sin, though imperial the kiss of the godlike men. Someday when the seas roll in, I'll explode this system across all heaven in my silver, singing, gleaming God machine. I got a silver machine. Don't get out much, but when I do, it seems surreal. But then again, when I stay in, there ain't much difference in the feel, in the air I'm breathing. There's a scent of something strange. All these scenes I seem to be in, people singing my dead name. So I bend the hours and I watch it all go by. I am a flower, sweet and sour and kinda shy, and mostly sober, more than I have been now for years. I'm getting older, enough to shoulder feeling weird, and I'm getting over some of these things that bring me down. It's going slower than I'd like, and some of the pain just hangs around. But I don't resent it, because to me it's not a game, and I ain't in it to win it. So if it's all the same, I'll take my power, let it flow and watch it fly. I am a flower growing toward the sky, and it's still my power. If it flies or if it falls, I am a flower growing off the wall.
Welcome, Katt. Glad to have you here. It's a pleasure. We've been talking about doing this for a little while.
Yeah.
So just glad to have you here.
Yeah.
I saw you perform at our friend Melanie Davis's house party. It wasn't all that long ago, I guess.
And right around Halloween.
Yeah, and I was blown away. You had a really unique setup going. What did you have? You had like a skull head going.
That creature is named Dirt Russell, and it's, for those of you who've never seen my Dirt Russell get up, it's a deer skull. It's a small buck. I don't know how many points, but not very many. And it's attached to a vest, and I have bones down the front of the vest, and then there's a hood, and the deer skull sits on top.
And you're from Southern Illinois originally, of course, but you told me that you're actually not from Southern Illinois. You're from England originally.
Well, my folks are originally from Central Illinois, but my dad was a B-52 pilot in the Air Force for 20 years or so, and so I was born in England when he was stationed there.
Well, that's cool. Do you have any memories from being there?
Unfortunately, no. My first memories are in Arkansas. So that's where we moved whenever he came back. So he was stationed a couple places in Arkansas before he retired.
And you ultimately moved to Macanda.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, did the land or Southern Illinois have anything to do with influencing your musical style? Talk a little bit about what your style is, because it's, as folks have heard, it's folk music, but it's a little darker in tone.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I think dark folk is a solid descriptor. Southern Illinois definitely has influenced it for sure. I mean, there's a lot of good music in Southern Illinois, so I think some of the just growing up in that kind of environment was really conducive to doing it. But also, I think Southern Illinois itself, the land, the forest. The rivers,
Yeah, just sort of that rural nature part of it too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Who inspired you to perform the kind of music that you do? I guess I thought of the Builders and the Butchers. I don't know if you've ever heard of that band, they're. I heard you and I immediately thought of them. Who inspires you?
That's cool. I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. I always have. Growing up, there was a lot of, I think first it was like Hank Williams and old country, Hank Jr. too. Like when I was little, just like all of the Hanks. Then I got into Hank 3 later, but that's a digression. But then I was also really into Sabbath and Motorhead and Kiss and things like that growing up. The first time I ever performed in front of an audience was the school talent show when I was maybe 7, and I did a Kiss cover. It was shouted out loud. There are no videos.
Deliberately, it sounds
Deliberately no videos. I did do the Gene Simmons makeup, though.
You went full Kiss makeup?
I went full makeup.
That's cool.
It was cool. I had the wig, too, but I chickened out at the last minute and didn't wear it.
So.
But so I've grown up, I've loved country since I was little, but also there's a lot of, and then later on I got into punk rock too, after it was Motorhead and Sabbath paved the way for some maybe more hardcore.
Yeah.
And then it just got weirder and more.
And you said country music, so Hank Williams Jr., like you said, so sort of that outlaw country almost.
Yeah, I loved that. Still do. I still listen to Waylon. I was listening to some of that yesterday. So it's still in heavy rotation in my lexicon, but there's also a lot more now.
Yeah. And so, one of the things I wanted to ask you about too is you played some country folk on the show today, and it, even in the performances that we'll see today, they have a broad range and changes too.
Yeah.
But you were also in a heavier band with Danny Brown from Family Bags, who's a well-known regional band here.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk about the sort of how you you do this as a singer-songwriter, but you also were in this band as well.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of bands. As we were talking earlier, it seems like everybody in Southern Illinois who is in a band is in 5 at one point. Right now I'm down to 2, 3. I'm down to 3.
You're in 3 bands?
I'm in 3 bands right now. So I do my solo thing, which, as you've heard, is kind of folky, kind of dark, somewhere in there. Then I was in that band with Danny, starting in like junior high. We'd known each other for a long time, went to school together.
I bet that was a really unique experience growing up with Danny.
I probably can't talk about a lot of things that occurred, but it was fun. We had a lot of fun. Got into some trouble, but nothing too awful, you know. I think it was, and now I'm going to sound like I'm old, and I'm not that old, but I think it was maybe a little easier to be a delinquent whenever we were growing up than it is for kids now.
Because of technology?
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for kids now.
You can't get away with it anymore.
No, we got away with maybe too much. But the band that we were in was called Skank, and it was actually the first band I was really in, and it was very punk rock. Like, we started out more or less just playing like Rancid and Sex Pistols covers, and then we started writing our own stuff, and there was maybe a little like ska influence too, but it was pretty much just like kind of melodic punk rock. And then we were later in a band called Early Worm that was it was kind of like a continuation of Skank, but there was also a little more like metal in it.
It got a little bit heavier.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then that was right after high school that I played in that band with Danny. And
so you said you played since junior high. So how long has music been a passion of yours? You know, before I did television and radio, I was into politics. And
right.
I remember the moment that I had the political bug bite. When did you get bitten by the music bug? Do you remember?
I think in utero. Yeah, I think I was born with it. I know that maybe it's like some people's like, oh, that's cheesy or whatever. I have some friends who would maybe argue with me about that, that it's not innate and that it's practice and it's learned. But I genuinely think I was born just...
So even at like a very small child, you were into music?
Yeah. I didn't start playing until I was 7, but I wanted to. Like, I think I probably bugged my parents from about the time I was like 3 or 4, like, and annoyed them by like, I was like making guitars out of like Kleenex boxes and rubber bands. So I think eventually my sister was just like, get this kid a guitar, like get him a real instrument. Yeah. This is ridiculous. Yeah, so it's been my whole life, really.
And has it just been guitar, or do you play other things too?
I do play drums also. I play a little bit of other things. I know some keys and mandolin, banjo here and there, bass, mostly stringed instruments. But I do play drums also. I play drums in a band right now called Fat Jackrabbit that's pretty punk rock.
Yeah.
Is
that hard to switch over from guitar to drums? Is it pretty easy?
I found it easy, but I think I kind of play guitar in a really percussive manner anyway, so I think it was kind of just already there.
I played the saxophone in high school a little bit after, so it was like, I don't know what it would be like to transition to another instrument, and then go back to it. Something I wanted to talk to you about too is, your songwriting style, like your tones are dark, not just in the music, but the themes are too. Do you draw a lot from your own personal life with some of that, or are you inspired by things you see in the world, or what makes you write the way that you do, you think? I know that's such a how do they write the song?
How do you do it?
Yeah.
Both. It's both. I think maybe as I've gotten older and been writing songs longer, I've gotten better maybe at processing things from outside my experience. But for the longest time, it was a lot of, I think there is a lot of like confessional nature to a lot of singer-songwriter. That genre, I think, is kind of lends itself to almost like a diary in song form, and I definitely do that. It's vague. I feel like, I guess what I'm trying to say is a lot of times it's like I'm vague. I feel like I'm vague about it, maybe to like protect the guilty.
Do you think it's sort of, if you write a song, with the lyrics and the performance itself, do you think it kind of helps you get out what it is that you have to say easier than it would be just to talk about it, kind of like we are now?
Definitely. It's totally a coping mechanism for me. I'm sure it is for other people too, but it definitely is like, it's how I process the world. It's how I process my feelings, and yeah.
So you find it therapeutic when you see the world as it is today, or frustrations that you have in your daily life, like sitting down to get to play is probably a pretty therapeutic experience for you.
Definitely.
It's neat that you have an outlet like that, and it's something that you enjoy doing so much. And you've played around. You've played in Paducah before. Talk about some of the places that you've played in the past. You played all around Southern Illinois and the tri-state area?
I've played all around Southern Illinois. I've played Paducah. I haven't played in Paducah since before the pandemic, and that's not by design. It's just how it goes. How it goes, you know.
Because I've seen you perform at Spectrum Record Lounge in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which is a very unique and cool venue.
Yeah, I love Cape, actually. I play down there pretty often. I recorded a record in Cape, actually, at the Glen House.
Perfect segue. So talk to me about the record that you did.
So that record is called Death Ballads on Spanish Street, and I recorded it at the Glen House in Cape, it's on the National Register of Historic Places. It's a old Victorian era home, and it's haunted, and I fully believe that. I also fully believe I've brought some ghosts back in my amplifier from probably that recording session and other times that I've played there. I play there semi-often, and I've got a bunch of other records out though. As a solo artist, I've got that record, Death Ballads on Spanish Street, and I have a record called Bruise. That is an homage to my dearly departed cat, Boris. And may he rest in peace. Love you, buddy. And that one I recorded at home, and it's all more or less about him. And and then I have another one that just came out called, what is it called? Desire Path. I had to think about that for a second.
That's your newer one?
Yeah, it just came out last year, towards the end of last year.
Talk about that. So what's that one? Are there any themes consistently through it?
That one, I think, is a pandemic record. It's totally the pandemic record. The first song on the album is called The Other Room, and it's totally about right when the pandemic hit and all live music. I was actually supposed to play a show the day that everything shut down.
March 15th, I think is what it was.
Yeah, I was supposed to play a show, and then there was this period of is live music ever gonna happen again? And so the first song on this record it's called The Other Room, and it's totally about wondering whether I'm ever gonna be able to get back in the van and
travel.
Yeah, and travel and do what I love to do. And I think that kind of theme kind of carries throughout most of the record.
Did you do most of the record on your own? Or?
That one I recorded with my good friend Jim Forster. He owns a studio in Carbondale called Molehole. It's Molehole Studios. And I've recorded a bunch of other bands that I've been in have recorded there too. He does a lot of stuff in Southern Illinois. So yeah, that's where I did that. I really like working with Jim. I like recording by myself, and I can totally do it, but I also really love working with other people and having other people that can take that aspect of it and just do it. And then I play.
Do you find that do you like collaborating with other artists and when you're recording music, you said you like doing it solo, but when you play with other artists, is it easy for you to get along with everybody and record together?
For the most part, yeah. I don't really recall ever having any, knock on wood, never had any really awful studio experiences. Have really gotten along with pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Honestly, my only problem with studio work is it just takes too long. I'm impatient.
You just want to do it. And
I just want it all right, I played, it's done, right? We can put it out?
I know folks that are like, they know it the way, they know how they want it to be, and they want to record it the way they want to record it, but
Yeah.
they're not really, working with someone else might get a little frustrating for them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd never thought of that until recently. Like that hadn't occurred to me that someone could be like that. But you can record an album completely by yourself and produce it and release it too. So.
Totally. Yeah.
And all of that is streaming, of course.
All those records are streaming. They're on Spotify, Tidal, all those places, YouTube, Bandcamp. I like to push people towards Bandcamp. As an artist, you get a much bigger cut, and you can also sell merch there. So I always push Bandcamp on people, but it's whatever. As long as someone's listening, I'm not that concerned.
Yeah.
If someone likes what I do enough to listen to it, I am grateful.
And, one of the things that folks would notice and we talked about was, you had the deer skull and you've got the aesthetic that you have a little set up on your stage when you perform. What inspired you to do that? Because that's sort of your signature look here.
Yeah, it's a part of what I do. It's not just a gimmick. It has some kind of spiritual meaning to me, and it really helps me ground.
Sure.
I feel much better. Maybe it's OCD too, right? But not diagnosed, just self-diagnosed. But it it really is a spiritual thing for me. It is a part of who I am, and I don't prescribe to any particular mode of spirituality. It's pretty esoteric for me. But it does have something to do with connecting with the earth and the spirits that are around us.
And your songs are about that too. I mean, it all comes back to bring it a long way back around. I mean, it all connects together.
Yeah.
I think that's neat. You've made it your own by being the most authentic version of yourself. And
I appreciate that.
yeah, and I'm a big fan of your work. And when I saw you, I wanted to have you on the show.
Yeah.
And have you perform here. And now, your music is streaming. You've got those records out, and those are all ways that people can find you.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a quick break and get back to some more music from Katt Holiday.
Feeling like half-eaten stale bread, can't sink this depression floating in my head. So I think about a drink and forget what I said. Then I wake up in a week in the same old bed. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, dreaming up these songs instead of sleeping at night, while this baby's stillborn in firefights. Mama's dying while I'm tied up in traffic lights. I'm sick of this shit and too thick to give a fuck, like a Salt Life sticker on a pickup truck. Running on fumes, running out of luck, so I sell myself short for the sake of a buck. Just to make ends meet, I fall asleep at the desk. Some say it's all a dream, some say it's just a test. Some say give it some time, some say give it a rest. Well, I got references available upon request. And a feeling like a knife in my shoulder blade. Well, I try to raise my rights, but I'm in too much pain. I say, when does it end? You say, when do we get paid? Well, I'm dreaming of a life where we all got it made. Trying to process all this trauma and disfigurement, knowing this genocide is funded by my government, while my friend works to pay off his cancer treatment. My student loan disbursement is outweighing my rent, and the bad news is raining out across the world, where they crucify the boys and they sterilize the girls. And if you're somewhere in between, you get it that much worse. But they were born without a heart, so they don't know how it hurts. and there ain't no saving face when you got two black eyes. Ain't no white savior's grace, and just trying to survive, just trying to stay safe, just trying to stay alive. Meanwhile, you swallow your pain until you clock out at 5, and I'm stuck out on the borderline between fuck and it's fine, between all hell breaks loose and this old Kentucky home, and other lies I'd never known, between no lie and naloxone. I'd rather die than diagnose this white American syndrome, white American syndrome. I'd rather die than diagnose this God almighty white American syndrome. Got me dealing with a nosebleed for weeks on end. I don't know, but I think it's probably gotta mean something. I see the sun's coming up, I feel the light shining in, and there's helicopters up over the house again, and I see them all the time. I wonder where do they go as they cut across the tree line, flying so low, like moths to the streetlight, like doves to the snow. Sometimes you rise above, sometimes you sink below, like when the sun is going down here out across the hills. You cling to your gun or your good book or your pipe or your pills, and good luck keeping any faith, good luck keeping it real. Whatever hand you play, you're gonna get a shitty deal, 'cause there ain't no white picket fences, it's just barges and mines, and the bills are relentless, but the church is doing fine. And we got a history down here, and we have for a long, long time, of killing scabs for trying to walk across the picket lines. And there's a sign along the road that says fear God and obey, and another sign that says Jesus is your only way, and still another sign says you could be a winner today. The grand prize is salvation, but you gotta pay to play. And the ones here got it hard, and they're tired and poor and hungry and cold, and the ones who hold the cards are white and bored and ugly and old, and they'll sell you the same lies that you've always been sold. But I was born to not believe a fucking thing I'm told, so I keep steady losing friends for trying to speak as I learn. And there's always someone out here saying which way to turn. Some say put out the fire, some say just let it burn, and we'll sweep up all the ashes and just bury the urn. Just bury it out in Little Egypt or Iraq or Iran, or you can drop it down some foxhole with the ghosts in Vietnam, or maybe Kuwait, Korea, Haiti, Grenada, the Congo, or the Sudan, or better yet, just bury it with the babies over in Bethlehem. Shotgun side of the blues, radio's tuned to yesterday's news. Well, I took myself down to the river to drown. Now I'm back in town, sporting brand new shoes, and talking till I can't find the words. Walking around in circles 'cause my bed smells like, what have you, haven't you heard? The birds are all dead, now dead is the word. Papa, Mau, Mau. Oh, will I, will I, will I, won't, willing to bet. You see, I really, really, really don't give a shh. I took the time to change my mind, and what do I get? But a great, big, fat load of nothing left. But then she came along. She came along, long, long way. She said she could not stay long, but I knew right away. Yeah, I did. Red Riding Hood Rat, how do you do? Radio's tuning yesterday's news. Well, I took myself down to the river to drown. Ooh, now I'm back in town, sporting brand new shoes. But then she came along. She came along, long, long way. She said she could not stay long, but I knew right away. But then she came along. She came along, long, long, long way. She said she could not stay long, but I knew.
And we're back. Thank you, Katt, for coming on the show. I really appreciate you making the trip down here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's been really good.
Anytime you want to come back, you are welcome to be here.
All right, good to know.
That is Katt Holiday. Thank you for watching. Join us next time.